Hello friends. Welcome. Today we will recap action, adventure, crime drama, Enola Holmes 2. Spoilers alert. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Movie starts with Enola running, and two policemen chasing her. After some cats and mouse game, cops cornered Enola. That's when she stops and says, "I can explain what's happening." After solving the Tewkesbury case in the first Enola Holmes movie, a lot of things have changed in Enola Holmes' life. She has established an agency and is prepared to pursue her goal of working as a freelance detective. She also has to keep the reputation of Sherlock Holmes, her older brother, who is currently overburdened with cases and is getting tired of maintaining the stature. From time to time, she gets notes from Lord Tewkesbury. She struggles to get any case, so finally, she has to close her office. But as she is packing her stuff, a young girl named Bess approaches her in search of her older sister. Bess feels that no one believes in her case. Enola takes the case, and so finding Sarah Chapman becomes Enola Holmes' first case. Bess takes Enola to her place. Enola asks Bess how her sister looks like. Bess replies, tall, beautiful and red hairs. Sarah also likes reading, and is self-taught. She was wearing green the day she disappeared. Enola finds a burned paper and asks if 12th of March mean anything. Hot-headed May, who also happens to be Sarah's best friend, is not too happy with Enola rummaging around the room for clues while asking Bess about her sister's whereabouts. But Bess defends her choice of choosing Enola. Bells also tell Enola that Bess and her sister are employed by Lyons, a match factory. Everyone at the factory thinks that Sarah has fled because she was suspected of stealing. Bess, on the other hand, is aware that her sister is trustworthy and must be in danger. The following day, Enola goes to the factory with Bess dressed as a regular person to learn more about Sarah. As girls in the workplace start passing away from typhus, an infectious epidemic fever, all of the workers are screened for infection as they enter. Enola uses her mother's techniques to divert the plant manager's attention so she can enter the office and discover that Sarah took some important documents from the register. After a thorough search of the office, Enola discovers the old match model with red tips rather than white tips. She also finds old log register with missing pages, and finds red hair confirming her suspicion that Sarah did steal the papers. Additionally, she overhears a frenzied conversation in which individuals of a higher rank are terrified that Sarah is aware of information that she shouldn't have. Enola is suspicious of May, so she follows May to the Paragon Theatre. She sees May performing in a show and now she knows that May works a second job. Later, she learns that Sarah also worked there without her sister knowing. When May notices her tinkering with Sarah's possessions, she tries to scare her, but fails. Enola learns more about Sarah after buying off the prop manager of the play at the theater. She learns that she once had a lover who sent her a love letter that contained a secret message. And now she starts thinking about who this man could be. She first realizes that someone is following her as she makes her way home, and she discovers her brother Sherlock being kicked out of a drunken pub. When she takes him to his house on Baker Street, she finds that her brother is working on some case. After some digging around, she sees that her brother is having trouble cracking his most recent case. The next day, a drunk Sherlock believes his sister is embroiled in a terrible situation. He cautions her not to endanger herself in an effort to gain attention. Enola rejects her brother's assistance after he repeatedly questions her ability to argue her claims, and she leaves. She feels annoyed at how her brother minimizes her attempts to be a strong woman who can become whatever she wants to, and happens to come across Tewkesbury, who is on his way to the Lords. At the same time, she deciphers the love letter's message, which directs her to the following clue, a Whitechapel address, which is 28 Bell Palace. She arrives at the scene without wasting any time, thinking that Sarah will be there. She finds May has been stabbed. May points to something as she runs to save her. She searches for the subsequent hint that May pointed out before dying because she can't help her. May looks through her clothes and discovers a piece of paper with some music scribbled on it. However, Superintendent Grail and Inspector Lestrade surround her and accuse her of May's murder. She tries to prove her innocence but they don't believe her. Enola successfully escapes through the window, but the cops are pursuing her. This is also the opening scene of the movie. Eventually, she avoids being caught and hides in her brother's house. Inspector Lestrade searches for her while she hides in Sherlock's house. Enola overhears her brother's talk with the inspector at this point and discovers that the issue revolves around government employees paying someone within the system. After the inspector departs, Sherlock talks briefly to Enola about his case and explains that he is unable to identify the individual receiving money from the authorities. However, Sherlock instructs Enola to remain put to stop bringing any more attention to since he believes she may become involved in something significant. Enola goes through the magazines and newspapers and finds about Matchmaker Ball. The address is 12 Marchmont Square, which is very close to 12th of March she found earlier on piece of paper at Sarah's place. She also comes across William Lyon, who she thinks is the Sarah's secret lover. She goes there in the hopes of finding something that may help her come closer to finding Sarah. Enola runs across some of the same folks she first ran into at the factory when she overheard Henry Leone and Charles McIntyre having a panic attack at the ball. Enola also discovers that she needs a chaperone if she wants to converse with the Englishmen at the ball, including William Lyon, who she tries to approach. Meanwhile, Enola develops a friendship with Lord Charles McIntyre's secretary Mira Troy. Enola is advised by Mira to interpret everything carefully and watch how things unfold at the ball. Later, Enola approaches Tewkesbury and requests that he teach her how to dance so that she might find the right moment to approach William Lyon, the lover of Sarah and the scion of the Leone match factory. They get cozy, but someone knocks on the door, and they get separated. She meets Cicely, a pleasant woman who seemed to be lured to Tewkesbury by its allure. Enola dances with William and tells him about her and asks questions. William advises Enola not to probe him too much because they are both being observed. She is instructed to meet him at midnight in the library. As she waits for him, she is arrested and brought away by the police. But, before being taken away, she gives documents to Tewkesbury. Superintendent Grail interrogates Enola and asks about Sarah, but she doesn't know about her. Sherlock tries to visit her, but Grail doesn't let him visit her. Realizing that she is in danger, he asks Edith for help. Enola is subsequently given a death sentence by hanging for killing May and trespassing, but her mother, Enola Holmes, learns that her daughter is in danger and steps in to save her. Edith blasts the prison wall, and Enola escapes. Following a thrilling cat-and-mouse chase in which the women prevailed, Eudora and Edith assist Enola in battling Superintendent Grail and the police officers. Enola has a brief emotional encounter with her mother after narrowly avoiding the police officers, and she counsels her to pick her battles and win them over on her terms. Enola later visits Sarah's home to warn Bess. But as she arrives, she learns that Sarah had discovered the true cause of the match girl's illnesses, with the help of May. The inexpensive white phosphorus used in the matchsticks caused the women to become unwell and eventually pass away. Enola goes to Tewkesbury to inform him of this information, but Cicely unexpectedly drops by his home. When Cicely departs, Enola immediately recognizes that Cicely is actually Sarah, and that she and her lover, William Lyon, had intended to expose the people who had gotten rich by using low-grade phosphorus. Tewkesbury and Enola express their love towards each other as they go to the match factory in search of further case-related information. When Enola arrives, she runs into Sherlock, who is certain that his case and Enola's are connected. Following their leads, they discover that Lord McIntyre collaborated with William's father to utilize cheap phosphorus in order to increase their profits. Many of the match girls were finally killed as a result, but the lords in command were more interested in making money than in preserving the lives of the underprivileged, hardworking girls. Enola arrives at the factory's meeting room with her brother Sherlock, and her new boyfriend Tewkesbury, but unfortunately, discovers William dead. They discover a piece of the same sheet of music that Enola discovered on deceased May's garment. Enola decodes the sheet music as the theater's map with ease. 3 of them go to Paragon Theatre together. In the carriage, Enola teaches Tewkesbury how to fight. During this lesson, they gets carried away, and finally kiss, and Tewkesbury says, "Maybe I need more of these lessons." When they finally meet Sarah, who is dressed as Cicely, inside the Paragon Theatre, she tells them that William, May, and she sought to reveal the Lyon factory's proprietors and those who made money off the deaths of young girls. Sarah commends Enola on cracking the case and being a great detective. She also confesses to having stolen documents from the factory office record, which contained 100 names of young women who had died as a result of the usage of cheap phosphorus. She adds that in order to expose these creatures, she needed Tewkesbury's assistance. Several police officers surround them as Enola tells Sarah that William has passed away, and Superintendent Grail is keeping Bess hostage. Grails instructs Enola to give him the paper Enola is holding, which includes significant evidence against them. Bess bites Grail before Enola gives him the documents. Bess escapes with Sarah. Enola, Sherlock, and Tewkesbury battle the policemen at the same moment. Grail fires several shots, and wounding Sherlock. Tewkesbury fights with other policemen. In an intense fight with Enola, Grail hurts her and takes the documents, but Enola uses her mother's technique once again, which ultimately kills Grail. Soon later, Lord McIntyre, Lestrade, and Mira Troy arrive on the scene. Sherlock and Enola discover that Mira Troy is actually Moriarty, who has been using her alias to blackmail McIntyre and the Lions and collect a cut of their profits. In order to hide her blackmailing operation, Mira, aka Moriarty, assassinated William and May, when she realized Sarah, William, and May were about to expose the factory. Lord McIntyre issues Inspector Lestrade the order to detain Troy for being a traitor after realizing that Mira Troy is also a rat in the system. Lord McIntyre destroys the evidence after Troy is apprehended and taken away to prevent additional accusations against him. The following day, Sarah, Bess, and Enola successfully organize a strike in conjunction with the factory workers, exposing the true cause of the girls' deaths. Eudora and Edith are celebrating Enola's success and launching a reform on her terms. Enola opens a new office in Edith's store after solving her first case as a freelance detective. Sherlock visits and gives her the news that Tewkesbury had McIntyre detained for aiding and abetting Lyon's unethical behavior. Enola gently declines Sherlock's offer of a collaboration since he has become weary of working on the case by himself. She claims that while she is happy to see his modest side, she doesn't want to spend the rest of her life in his shadow. However, they both decide to get together on Thursday at 4 o'clock. Sherlock learns from the morning news that Troy has eluded capture. Enola meets Tewkesbury and he formally inviting Enola to the ball. On a Thursday, Sherlock is waiting for Enola in a sort of pre-credits scene. He answers his door when there is a knock and finds a man instead. The man explains that Sherlock is reportedly seeking for a roommate, and that Enola directed him to the address. When Sherlock asks for his name, the man reveals himself as Dr. John Watson. The end.